Well, don't get the flu in the fall. Just spend your time in the forest.
Is that your medical advice?
Yeah,
That's pretty good advice.
That is pretty good advice. Forage. With a lack of knowledge, should I just go
nuts,
forage?
berries.
Is that how I'm going to make my medicines?
If a bear can do it, you can do it, Paul.
I think this brings us right back to where we need to be for Rabbit Troop Sucks. Foraging in the woods, fending for yourself, lack of knowledge, and go-to gumption. I don't know. Well, welcome back to Rabbit Troop Sucks. Today we're going to be looking at Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 1982. And oh my God, this is going to start a fun little trend of Halloween films because we're in October and this is our first October film. And we're really opening up with a banger. We'll talk about that on so many different levels. But yeah, as always, we're a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. As always, I am Paul. Next to me is Mike.
Yo.
Returning to us today is Rami.
Hey.
We got Jeremy.
It's time.
And Lamar.
Hello.
And yeah, Halloween 3. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. This is starting, as I said, our Halloween trend, and we have a lot of fun movies on the horizon. Yeah. I'm really excited as, I'm going to gush over this, with every movie. It's light jacket weather, it's hoodie weather.
I have a theory about this movie. Mm-hmm. I think they made this movie, and they had no idea what to call it. And so they brought in, what's his name? And they just called it Halloween 3.
What's his name?
The guy that owns like the Halloween.
Oh, John Carpenter?
Yeah. Well, they brought him in. He's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Well, this sounds legit.
I want to note, he has an uncredited writing note. That's it. So this is what I read about this film. That John Carpenter didn't really want to do Halloween 2. And was like, okay, I'll do Halloween 2. And then still wanted to keep going with the franchise. But not like a Michael Myers continuation. Just like it would always be Halloween. And honestly, I dug that the Halloween theme song was still in this movie. And I think that was, from what I read, at least, this was the light version of what John Carpenter's vision would be. That he would keep similar music, maybe reoccurring actors, but it just wouldn't be Michael Myers killing people. And so when this movie came out, I guess he pitched part of the idea. They used some of it, or maybe just the original idea loosely. Jamie Lee Curtis even has an uncredited cameo as a voice operator in this. So there are a lot of connections. And then I read he just sold the franchise after this. He was just done. So I understand.
That was a misstep.
Well, and it also was, I guess, this movie was released and was a huge bomb. And people were like, oh my God, this isn't Michael Myers. So I was talking to these guys. Jeremy, I remember seeing this movie on TV all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And there was commercials. So the commercials I would always see is in the movie, when it becomes Halloween, we go through the time lapse of day 8 and then 1, we'll talk about it. But when we get to day 1, Halloween, it's like the witch and the Frankenstein. They're walking up this hill. You see the backdrop of this whatever city, California they're in. Yeah. But it's really orange outside, the sun setting. Does that make sense to you?
It was in Phoenix, the Arizona.
That's where they filmed it?
Kids, or that was the scene where the kids were walking.
Yeah, I think they wanted to show
Yeah,
they wanted to show that haze.
They always show that. And here's the crazy shit. I knew the premise of the film was these kids were all going to get their faces melted off. I watched this movie when I was 4 to 5 years old.
Yeah. Good for you.
Happy Halloween to you, young man.
It's a special Halloween moment, man, of your childhood.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, this movie isn't pulling punches. This movie's not pulling punches in so many different directions. That doctor's definitely not pulling punches sexually. So there's...
Well, where they didn't pull any punches is they didn't show us the full girl, Yeah. Mm-hmm. They teased you with her throughout the entire movie.
They didn't have the balls.
Delivered.
They were like, if we make Halloween 4 in this fashion.
We got to see the guy's ass, but no, we can't show her.
Full on ass.
Yeah.
You gotta use your imagination for her.
We're talking about the lack of Michael Myers and just the way that this movie goes. I kind of like that concept because I've never been the biggest Michael Myers fan, but I always liked the tempo and writing of Halloween movies. So if that was John Carpenter's idea, I would have liked it. Yeah. If you want to go continue the Halloween like this, I definitely would have been in for that.
Yeah. Yeah, just standalone Halloween anthology tales.
Yeah,
that they tell.
That would have been
periodically.
better than 87 movies
Oh,
with
yeah.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me give you the premise. So we're all talking about Michael Myers, but what is this movie? Kids all over America want Silver Shamrock masks for Halloween. Dr. Daniel Challis seeks to uncover a plot by Silver Shamrock owner Conal Cochran. Dum bum ba. No Michael Myers.
Just like that. Doesn't say that in the no Michael Myers.
No. Get out of here. Get out of here, Michael. No one wants you.
So speaking of John Carpenter, one of the pieces of trivia that I read, and again, don't come at me if you don't believe this, like last time. The original director was supposed to be Joe Dante, but then he had to back
Are
out.
you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're the Dante
Yeah.
comes to you in all sorts of ways.
Imagine what this movie would have been if Joe Dante had directed
Does
it.
it?
So,
There would have
It would have
been
been El Dante.
a lot of weird puppets for no reason.
well, I actually have some questions about that. Would it have been rated R? Because we haven't seen rated R Joe Dante films. We've been
Right.
watching more family-friendly Joe Dante films.
Is this movie rated R?
It would have made no difference if it wasn't rated R.
I think it would have to be
In my
the
opinion.
core.
I don't know.
This movie is rated R,
Okay.
and you think it makes no difference if Joe Dante directed it?
No, if this movie wasn't rated R, I think you could have had the same like chills and like the tension could have been all there. I mean, some of the most like violent parts, like I don't know, they didn't add that much to the
Jeremy,
story.
I agree with you. I mean, if you
But there was like no cussing. We didn't get to see
Yeah.
the girls' bits.
No cussing,
You know?
no tits. What are we even
We saw
here
some
for?
bits.
Yeah.
There's some bits.
Little.
Blurry shower door.
There were
It's bullshit, Paul.
There's other scenes. She's like topless on top of him. What else do you want from this one? Well, I know
He
what
wants
you want.
more, yeah.
But
Yeah.
with this,
We probably wouldn't have gotten to see him go into town on her chest as much as he did.
Yeah, he was really getting up in there.
that was just a free scene.
He's like, John, is it cool if I do this? And John Carpenter's like, yeah, I guess.
John Carpenter, remember, is not the director of this film. He,
No, whatever.
he has left town. Who is the director of this film?
Who knows?
Tommy. Tommy Lee Wallace. He also directed The
Tommy Lee
Fog.
Jones.
The Fog and some of It. He did the 90 miniseries.
Which fog?
I think the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So yeah, I mean that would be interesting if Joe Dante did it, just because I'm like, I don't know what else he would have done differently for an R movie, but I agree with what Jeremy's saying. Like most of this didn't need to. I mean, take out the nudity and maybe there's like a few profane words, like nothing really notable. But like honestly, Jeremy, this movie's like way more like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And if like the censors are willing, and like let me throw this out, if censors are willing to, it's weird I have to describe this. If censors are willing to have people basically like split in half and have goo come out of them, but maybe not in the most horrific ways, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, stuff like that, this movie kind of follows suit. So yeah, I could see like why this could be in theory, but they really go to like a more demonic sense, and I bet people are like, nope, that's R. Like 82, they're like, nah. Like
Maybe another factor involved is they use kids.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I want to see is the fucking prequel to this movie where they fucking steal the Stonehenge rock. Like I want to see.
Yeah.
oh, that was quite
I feel
a
like there's
feat,
a lot
I
of
assure
planning
you.
that goes into something like that.
You said it. You said in that voice. Oh yes.
Yeah.
As you see here,
Only if it's a mystery comedy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Clue.
exactly.
Just like Clue.
How did you get Stonehenge here? The burning, the sensation. Just so angry right now. Yeah. This movie's bananas,
Yeah.
It is.
Hey, why is it called Season of the Witch?
dude.
When no one knows.
It's named after a song. People are like, "That's gonna be."
They mention it at the end. The old man does when he's like doing his monologue over the TV set.
Oh, at the end. Okay, no wonder.
During his James Bond villain monologue.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to explain my plan,
Explain
but let
But
me
sit still for a
explain my whole...
Well, this movie starts off basically we just see these Silver Shamrock commercials, and it's set to the music of "London Bridge is Falling Down." I read they got that because
Yeah.
it was free,
Yeah.
and they added that, and this was like a really iconic moment for me. As I said, like the kids walking up, as you was it you said Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was in.
No.
Oh,
like,
you mean
what-
the commercial?
Yeah, when the kids are walking.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that was Phoenix. So like that, and then the commercial itself, like those are the most memorable moments when I was growing up, because it was like really kind of catchy. Like pumpkins would come up, and it was like kind of drab. And I mean, it was 1982, so watching it now, you're like, wow, this looks like really poor animation, and it was. But then you're just like, cool, a pumpkin. Yay, it's 1982 with my rudimentary technology.
Yeah, I'm
can see that,
collecting
definitely.
candy in pillowcases. You know,
Yeah. So we see that, and it's very clear, like, all these kids are excited that there's a collector's item, or it's like the 1982 Pokemon of Halloween, that all these kids are like, I want these masks. Like, that's the only way Halloween's going to be rad as hell. Like, these Silver Shamrock masks over the last couple of years have built up, like, a lot of notoriety, and a lot of kids want them. So, hell yeah. And then we get just, like, a hard cut to Dr. Tom. Or it's
Dan.
well, it's Dan, but it's Tom Atkins
Oh, Dan.
is playing him. So yeah, Dr. Dan, man about town, family man.
What's it? Chalice
No.
is his last name?
No, you-
like the cup?
skip the intro part about the old man running away from the Sentry guys.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
The intro that sets the tone.
Yeah, that happens before Tommy comes. Or what's his name? Dan the man.
But it is brief. It's like just a 4-minute scene of just an old man running through like
Yeah.
a dark underpass.
Yeah, it comes in.
Yeah, so
hot.
he has a mask in his hand. He's running. He's like, "Oh shit, man! There's this car chasing me." He runs into like a junkyard. He gets ambushed by one of these like dudes in like a suit and tie, and they're real straight laced. They're not saying anything. They're very pale, you know. Yeah, they grab hold of him, choke him. He pulls like a thing out from a car, kills one, and runs off into the night.
So
That
as
was crazy.
as we were watching this, as Rami can note, I turned all of this into a D&D session. So I was like, all
really
right,
did.
yeah. So I was like, all right. So that guy just rolled a 20. Like he had one saving throw, and he's like, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
And damn it, he did it.
like he rolls a 2 and all that's available is like a pool noodle. Oh, man.
The car just collapses on his crotch. Yeah, I mean, this guy jumped through a door. He did it. He pulls a car and it just smashes another guy.
Yeah,
and it gives him just enough room to squeeze out underneath.
Unbelievable. Pancakes a man between two cars immediately above him.
I think I told these guys, I was like, I would immediately quit my job and buy a lottery ticket simultaneously.
Yeah.
That would be...
This man is rolling 20s right now.
Well, he did run to a gas station, so he had the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's true.
Give me some scratch offs.
Didn't have time. Didn't have time.
Yeah.
I think the next thing we see is
Well, yeah, he just runs off.
yeah,
So
he just fucks off somewhere.
Now we're Dr. Dan or
That was
Dr.
the cut to Dr. Dan.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dan's a home man, and I don't.
Well, he's like the worst ex-husband in the world.
Well, let me throw this out. I didn't remember that he was quote unquote married or divorced, and that's not very clear in the.
It's not at all.
in the moment that
It's
he
not.
is, I believe, divorced.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
in this moment, because I was even telling these guys, I was like, I remember things that happened later in this movie. This guy's kind of a sleazebag. He's not.
Do
he
they,
guess.
says ex-wife one time
Yeah.
in the movie.
yeah, when is that?
But then
I
the
think
rest
on
of the
the
time he
phone
does
or
refer
something?
to her as wife.
Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta call
because
wife.
like all this dude does is like bang and
Yeah,
Well, he's
dude.
divorced. No wonder.
Well, no, I mean,
why
right.
is he such a
It's like the
scumbag?
Beach Boy of Halloween, dude.
well, I mean,
Dr. Bang?
Yeah.
like if you
Doctor
blink, you miss the fact that. I mean, yeah, Paul, you're right. That this scene sets it up like he's bringing a mask home for his kids and like his wife there,
Yeah.
and there's no
It's
outward
the world's
signs.
worst mask.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And then like that phone call that we'll talk about later is like, yeah, I can't get to your recital. I got to go bang this 20-year-old.
Whoa.
Sorry,
We don't know she's 20.
That's true.
Yeah.
20-ish.
Yeah, esque.
Yeah, I like Rami going, because the response to the age question is really disconcerting.
Don't worry.
Yeah, well, let's not give too much.
But yeah, so if you've seen this movie, I was like, I don't remember this guy going home. I was like, this guy's totally a sleazebag because he's like, hey kids, brought McDonald's and Halloween masks, and the mom is like, oh, you're late, and he's like, I'm a doctor, you know what I do, and they're fighting. I'm like, okay, But yeah, up until like halfway through the movie, it does not reference they're divorced or not seeing each other or separated, because he starts doing things. Well, immediately he's at the hospital, like spanking a nurse on the ass. He's like, "Hey," and she's like, "Oh,
it was a different time.
It was 1980. Yeah.
That's how you interacted with nurses back then.
Yeah.
Feels like a line out of
and flight attendants, man. That was not frowned upon.
Feels like a
either,
line out
you
of
know?
Scrooge
Right.
or something.
Your secretary, just anyone really.
Secretariat, faster secretariat.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you could smoke on airplanes, it was not offensive to pat a woman on the ass to all men.
They
in the
appreciate it.
country.
You know.
Jeremy, let me throw
I don't
this
know
out.
if that's true.
Let me depart.
We've all been canceled. Now,
let me
sorry.
let me depart from Season of the Witch for a moment.
Okay.
I don't know if I've directly asked this to Jeremy, and maybe it's because he wasn't on the Chopping Mall episode, but we clearly referenced him numerous times, and spiritually we feel he was here because we looked at a mall movie. Jeremy, if you could go back in time, especially to like the golden age of like you visiting malls and thinking about this, and you're talking about like smoking on airplanes, what year do you want to go back to and why?
I would probably say like 88, 89, 90.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Why?
Like those 3 or 4 years. Like we were always at the mall,
Yeah.
man. And like some of the movies that I love always, like one of my favorite zombie movies is Dawn of the Dead.
yeah.
Takes place in a fucking mall, dude. Yeah, like that's where I would go. Like if I'm like the end of the world happens or some shit, I'm going to the fucking mall, man. That's where I'm surviving. You know?
Just remember when
There's a lot of things that I could set up in a mall.
when we talked about shopping malls, like, oh my God, like the guy who like walked out of the mall, he didn't even have shoes. He was smoking a cigarette and he was just walking on that plush red carpet, shoeless, Jeremy. Can you imagine? In the middle of the night, you just walking in a mall smoking.
He was in heaven for a brief second.
Oh, well, he was trying to get cigarettes from the cigarette machine.
It all went wrong. Yeah, so yeah, taking us back to the future. Yeah, we get Dr. Dan, man about town. Nurses love him. Coroner loves him.
Town bicycle.
Yeah, and Dr. Dan is the town bicycle. Dr. Bang. Dr. Bang's in session.
Do we see the old man again? Is he in the hospital?
The old man.
Well, he ran to the gas station, and then he collapsed, and then the tow truck driver did a solid and drove him to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. And now some goons are out.
Yeah, those same robots, or we don't know the robots. Sorry.
We don't know that yet.
Spoiler alert! I did, dude. Anyone listen to this? The trench coat guy.
Mike got Dr. Dan. I'm just like, let's not go. But
I learned someone's name, so leave me alone. One of the goons, the straight-laced goons, just fucks his eyes up.
Oh, man. Yeah, just pulls his face off his
Yeah.
face.
Yeah,
So
he took his face off.
So let's talk about these goons. Why do they have to kill people in the most horrific way?
They like it. That's what they're.
I agree. Yeah,
It's their only joy in life.
I believe you.
You see how sad they look?
I believe you both. I believe everyone because clearly they could just snap someone's neck, or they're in a hospital and inject.
They're super strong.
Right, inject them with something. But instead, they're going to spend the time putting their fingers in your eyes and then your mouth and stretching your face until you die. And then they do other horrific things to other people later. I was like, sweet Jesus.
Well, yeah, and I feel like that man wouldn't have died based on what they did to him because they really just broke his nose. Am I wrong in that?
I don't know. He probably couldn't breathe after a while. There's like that guy's face was stretched like 5 inches.
Yeah, it did look terrible, but I feel like he would have survived. I think I would survive.
He might
He
have.
was
Yeah.
in a hospital.
If you're gonna make,
Or maybe he had a heart attack.
You could
Who
get
knows,
like
but-
medical grade ibuprofen there, so that'd be nice.
Honestly, if somebody stretched my face off like that, I wouldn't want to live anymore.
No.
That's true.
Just let it go.
I also want to demystify something. I know nothing about medicine, but I love medical grade like Tylenol and ibuprofen because what it is just like 3 times the amount of regular ibuprofen or Tylenol.
it's just one shade down from codeine.
Well, it's just like you can't sell that, but if you went home and took 3 pills instead of 1, that's the equivalent. Like, because it's not like crazy drugs.
Right. It's just more normal drugs
Right.
that at the hospital cost
Where
$3,000.
can I get-
Oh,
Crazy
and Mike is correct
things,
about
though.
that. It is also like $3,000 a pill
Like a
without insurance.
sprinkle of morphine.
No,
Yeah.
it's
I
like
think the
literally.
crazy drugs are a little cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might
Yeah.
Got to start
You know?
McGurking it and just show up with your own.
be. Yeah, you got to bring whatever you have.
Whatever,
Yeah, I
whatever
want to
fits
go
in
to a
your fist.
hospital where
Whatever fits in your fist.
they prescribe like ecstasy to help your ailments.
Yeah,
That's the guy up the street, Jeremy. You'll be here soon.
that's a special hospital.
Dr. Bang.
Hey, Jeremy, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Bang. You guys might want to go out on the town. Dr. Bang loves to go to unique bars.
Mike, are you going to meet up with Dr. Bang tonight?
Yeah, that's why we had to do this earlier. I got plans with Dr. B is what I call him, but yeah.
For sure, you got to save time.
Yeah, there's so much
Okay, so
banging, man.
so now this guy's dead,
Yeah.
and so Dr. Bangs saw this guy kill him. Well, he saw the killer. He's like, I watched this guy. He was like in a suit. He was a normal person. Like, what the hell's going on? So then this guy runs to the parking lot, and Dr. Bangs chases him, and this guy douses himself with gasoline, and just not like, here's a little.
Yeah.
It's like
A lot.
No,
it's like that guy took like a cartoon can, listed gasoline, and just went on a parade. It was, he was like, I'm going to show you how to sprinkler, and just went nuts. And lights it, and his car explodes.
Immediately.
It's like a Tom and Jerry level of gasoline, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I also want to note that this is at night. So this is at like, I'm guessing like midnight. Let's just,
Yeah.
I'm going to be,
It's super late.
So car's still smoldering next day.
Yeah.
I noted that. Like, no one's put this thing out. Like, it's literally like,
Yeah.
You just got to let it burn itself out.
sure.
What are you going to do, man? Yeah, why put it out?
Yeah.
It's easier to move when it's in ashes.
Sure. So now Dr. Bangs is all like, oh my God, like, what the hell is going on? And he's talking to people about this. And I was talking to these guys yesterday about this. And I was like, Dr. Dan is like being irate. He's like, I don't know what's going on. There's a conspiracy. And he's like talking to people in the hospital. And he's talking to the coroner. And she's like, I would assume like this guy's just hopped up on drugs. He's like, no way. Like, this guy was in a suit and it was normal. But like, everything he's saying is totally pointing to the fact that this guy's probably on drugs. Like, there is no indication of conspiracy theory anywhere, shape, or form at this point in time. But Dr. Dan is convinced.
Well, he did. The old man did say when he got when he was in the hospital, he looked over and saw a commercial of the Shamrock mask thing.
Right.
He's like, "Oh, they're all gonna kill us, Jesus."
Right, but
And
also,
then he passed
Jesus
out again.
Christ.
right. So, I mean, that guy's crazy. So, like, he passed out. So,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking, like, just drugs everywhere. And they're like, this guy, he's like, the old man said he was being chased and the guy was going to kill him. Like, okay, drugs. Like,
Right.
like, a guy just doused himself with gasoline. And
But also,
blew his car.
he was right though.
Oh, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I totally agree, but there's no indication whatsoever in this movie that he should be right. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
there should have been like one more thing to be like, I work for the devil.
He
He's
should
like,
have
"I
gone
told
to a
you."
Republican hospital.
It's kind of implied by the actions of what happened. There's another guy ripping some other guy's face off.
I
If
would
this was-
assume drugs because of that.
if this were Florida, I would go straight to drugs because that's what Florida men do. But this is California, so I don't know if drugs was the first thing you would think of. If you would think, man, he just ripped this guy's face off and then set himself on fire in a car and poof.
So now we meet Ellie, the old man's daughter.
Ah, yes.
And I love Ellie's introduction interactions in this movie.
Actually, yeah.
Because out of the gate, she's like, what the hell is effing wrong with all of you? Because the sheriff's like, yeah, I know. I'm like really sorry, but like some crazy guy broke in. She's like, that... And ripped off his face. Like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
And she literally was like, that's what you're telling me? Like, that is what you're telling me. He's like, well, the investigation continues. And she's like, absolutely not. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I love that. She's like, what kind of bumpkin town did I just roll up into? Like, are you kidding? Like, my dad's
you know,
face
it's
was
Northern
ripped
California.
off. And I don't care if some, like, car exploded. Like, where were any of you a-holes during any of this? Like, a dude's face was ripped off. But yes, Dr. Bangs is like, I'll take you under my wing, little girl.
Oh, he's zeroed in on it.
Yeah.
You could tell.
But he gave her time. He gave her like 3 days to
Yeah,
grieve.
Well,
to agree,
24-ish
pull off.
hours, you know.
Yeah.
I like their intro too because she clearly stands out in the crowd of the cast. She shows up in a bright blue dress, and everybody's kind of just in drab gear. And she's actually shows up to identify the body because the body is her father. The father.
The stretched face father.
So the first time you see her, she's beautiful. She turns around the first time you see her, and she just lights up the room. Everybody else is just a grayish background character.
Lamar, I've never heard you talk about any of the actresses in the movies. I think you got a little.
She
sweet
stands
tooth for
out.
Ellie.
She stands out in this movie quite.
She's got the perfect look for it. She's got like those big innocent eyes, and she's
well
always
casted.
Yeah, I agree. She is my favorite part of this because she's kind of like versatile. She's very like headstrong. She's intelligent. She looks young sometimes, but that kind of like works to their benefit. They're like, oh, like we're a couple, just like getting married, like whatever. Yeah, she is well cast. I like this character.
Yeah.
I actually like Dr. Dan.
Yeah.
Just kind of weird dude.
So you can see why Dr. Dan is just going.
You know, he's
right
down to
after
party.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's down to party, all right.
I think that the tone for the movie was kind of set when she identified the body, and she was literally the only person in the room who didn't have a mustache.
That was noted.
It was a different time.
She had one in her pocket.
For later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you did note that when we were watching.
So they both come up with this idea. They're like, okay, your dad was talking craziness about this Silver Shamrock company, and he had this Halloween mask, and he said these people were after him, and it turns out like he was like a salesman, and he was buying stuff for his shop, and they're like, okay, like maybe we should go to this like place, Santa Mira, and check it out. They go to their the dad's shop at first. And she like highlights like, oh, my dad just got some of these masks in, but he was going to go get some more. So they're like, yeah, like maybe let's just go to the factory. Like if that's the last place that this guy ever went, like let's do this. I don't really mind this, but like I feel there's like one more thread that's needed in this. Like a doctor and this dude's daughter isn't really enough for me. Like there needs to be like a police contact or like, even if Dr. Dan was like, I have like a friend.
Small town.
Well, no, if Dr. Dan was like, I work with people all the time. I'm just going to call in like my friend Jerry over at the station. And then every now and then he like phones in with him rather than his, now we're going to learn ex-wife or something. Like,
No, that was a side piece.
Speaking of ex-wife, you should also note that Dr. Dan has called his ex-wife and said he is not going to show up to get the kids again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, something came up.
Something did come up.
something did come up.
Yeah, this scene is bonkers because like, hey, tell the kids I can't make it. He grabs his 6-pack of High Life from the top of the payphone.
Yeah, I was going to know, Mike. Yeah, this call is coming from a payphone on the street.
Yeah, and then he just gets the fuck out of there.
But yes, he definitely picked up a 6-pack of
amazing.
High Life.
Well, he something for the road.
Yeah.
He's actually a bit of a drinker. In this.
Yeah.
Danny's got a drink, man.
Yeah, well, I don't remember where it happened. But my note just says daytime drinking with Woody Woodpecker.
Well, so when before they meet, like they're at a bar earlier,
Right.
and he's just like sitting
Yeah.
there, like smoking, doing shots, like
The
afterwards.
world's saddest bar.
Yeah,
We should
I
have
said that. I was
this
like, I was like, if I'm ever found at this bar, like you guys have to have an intervention with me. Like watching Woody
Yeah.
Woodpecker at like 3 p.m, like smoking cigarettes. Only the bartender's there. All like the shades are closed. I could smell what that bar smells like in my mind right
Honestly,
now.
this sounds
Yeah.
great.
It was
This
quite
is a
panel bar.
I'm not
doctor
gonna lie, I
that is
would-
at a bar
drink there.
like, drinking and smoking cigarettes, and he is like in charge of people.
I would go to that bar.
Except his
right
own.
Also,
Actually, yeah, Mike, I join you.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a Boris back in the day.
it is like, yeah, it's R.I.P. Yeah, Paul, to your point about needing something else, like this doctor is just like, hey, quick, I need some PTO. I got to go on a road trip with this maybe old enough girl that I just met. Is that chill? Is that cool with everybody?
They probably slapped his ass on the way out the door. Like,
Yeah, like, oh, you dog.
That cad.
Yeah.
Based
High
off that,
fives.
this feels like just like a murder mystery between two people. I actually like the pacing and the fact that they didn't seek outside intervention and they just went, you and me, let's go. Come on, 30-minute trip, let's go. I kind of like that.
I think they could have explained it a little better, like why.
Yes,
It seemed
a
like
little
she
bit more.
kind of argued with that cop or sheriff or whatever at the start.
Yeah.
And he He seemed like he gave her a hard no on any investigation, but they didn't.
I don't mind that he didn't just pressure the police and whatnot. I kind of enjoy it for that.
I told these guys when we were watching it that the way Dr. Dan dresses outside of doctor work, he always has this like starch red shirt and jeans, and I was like, he always looks like he's gonna step outside and smoke a Marlboro.
Yeah. He looks like the Marlboro man.
Almost. I was like, dude. And then we see like the cut. He's like smoking at a bar. I was like, what kind of doctor are you? He's drinking like vodka and like smoking at a bar, and watching Woody Woodpecker.
Right. The world's saddest doctor.
He's one of the 9 out of 10 doctors that recommended Chesterfield cigarettes. That's the kind of doctor he is.
You need to calm down. Some Chesterfields.
Damn. Haven't heard that.
We'll get to the scene later. But there's one scene in particular that really highlights that part of his character. When he leaves her at the hotel. We'll get to it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait for when we get there.
But they do get there.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, we're there. They're at the hotel.
Shit.
They're driving. They're at the hotel, and they come up with this idea that they're just going to check in as husband and wife. And they're eventually going to sneak kind of like a tour into the factory. I mean, I'm kind of cutting to the chase. They're going to see the factory. They're going to sneak in a little more with a guest invite. But they're going to be like, oh, let's go find out where my dad did this order, and we'll talk to some people, which is kind of legit.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
And talk to people they do.
Yeah, I don't really know why they said they're a married couple.
They want to maybe keep themselves anonymous because they're checking into a shady hotel.
Yeah, that seems unnecessary.
Every time I check into a shady hotel, I do it under the name Don Rickles.
Maybe they didn't want to suspect the other guests that show up, who are weird as fuck.
Oh, buddy.
I think they got creeped out, like when they first got to town, and everybody's like looking through the windows at them as they're
like watching them drive up to the hotel.
Well, that was weird.
Yeah, it's like a very Children of the Corn town.
Yeah.
I want to make a note too. I was joking with you fellows yesterday. So, John Carpenter did Escape from New York, and I noted that the Metal Gear franchise based Snake off Snake Plissken. It's kind of a notable fact. And I was joking in this film. I was like, oh, maybe they got some more Metal Gear influence from this film. And as we start going through this film, I'm not joking anymore. There's actually a lot of stuff that I'm like, I think they really love John Carpenter related films.
You are absolutely not joking about that. There's a lot of
going through ducks,
if
boxes.
If you played any Metal Gear in your life, especially the old ones, there's you can kind of feel the references.
I think that's cool. Like, I mean, if any of that's true, I'm like, that's awesome. Like, video games giving homages to movies and writers and directors that they loved. I mean, like, oh my God, like, this is the basis of this podcast. Us, even if we're like, making fun of some things, that we just love these films.
Yeah.
Season of the Witch.
It would have really sealed the deal for me if, like, when the bad guys noticed them, it made that, like, exclamation mark noise. Yeah. Huh? What's that noise?
Well, as they're checking in the hotel, a big black car drives around, and they're
very slowly.
They're like, slow drive. Take it easy. Slow ride. Yeah, no one.
They're like, there's what's his name? Colonel Cochran?
Yeah,
Conal.
Yeah.
Colin Cochran.
The Irish Colonel Sanders.
And someone's like, that's Mr. Cochran. Very la-ti-da.
The Irish innkeeper.
Scottish. Irish. It's all Irish because it's an Irish town.
You think it was
Scottish?
Irish? He sounded pretty Scottish.
There's a shamrock. There's a shamrock.
Yeah.
And it's they say they're like, it's an Irish town, and they're like, we're very proud, and that's Mr. Cochran. He's a fantastic man. He's done fantastic things.
They didn't have a whole lot of Irish people for an Irish town.
There was just the innkeeper.
The hotel and gas station.
Yeah.
And like
hotel
the
keeper is
receptionist at the factory.
The bylaws state one Irish is needed to maintain.
Exactly.
One true Irish.
More has been
gnawing on a potato.
Yeah, more is beneficiary, but it's great.
One's all you need.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's introducing him to Mr. Cochran's car as he drives around town. But the scene's actually pivotal because as she's getting the intro to the motel. He's ducking off. They scope out like names and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like sneaking off like Solid Snake would. And taking pictures of hotel guests, people who checked in, looking at other things, and then he comes back just in time to take the keys.
Mm-hmm. It was back when you could pay for a hotel in straight cold cash, no question asked.
Yeah,
boom, boom.
Just sign the book.
Fake ID.
I slipped $40 under.
Like shady.
Thanks,
like,
man.
you can't just give me the money? All right. Probably wasn't even his 40. It was already in there.
Well, we're back in the hotel room, and Dr. Bangs really earns his wings tonight.
Oh, boy.
Multiple sexy time situations between him and Ellie. And during sex scene 2, he says, how old are you? Are you old enough? And I don't remember exactly what she said.
Does he really say that?
Yeah. Yes, he does.
On round 2. Round 2. He's like,
you know what? He's just
"How old
throwing
are you?"
caution to the wind, man.
Her answer is,
God.
I'm
Just living his best life.
older than I look.
Yeah. She doesn't answer the question.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
She answered the question just in the most
No,
bizarre fashion
no.
possible, and it complicates things further if you think
Just
about it
raises
deeper.
Red flags everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
there's a lot of red
That
flags.
shut my brain down. I tell you, like, whoa, shit.
Wah.
Yeah. She highlights she's old enough.
That's all he needed to know.
Exactly that. Yeah. Yikes, Dr. Dan.
Yeah, that went south.
Well, before that, I actually messed up. He's going to get some wine and some more drinks. There's an in between sexy time situation.
He drank all those High Lifes on the drive down. He needed to
Oh,
restart.
yeah.
I told you those were road sodas.
And
Those are road sodas, yeah.
And some hobo jumps out. He's like, "Hey, I want some of your wine."
They get a hit off of that bottle.
And he's like,
yeah, all right, dude.
And he's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, he's like, "All right."
He's just drinking with a homeless man in an alley.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
This is how
Like,
it
you are
happens.
you're walking down the street.
I
and
can
you're
imagine.
approached by a homeless person.
Yeah, I drive
and
down
you're
Colfax.
just like,
I drive down
"Fuck yeah,
Colfax a
dude."
lot. This happen. I see this happen all the time.
Mike and I have been in this
would
situation
Jesus do?
numerous times, and it was like, "Hey, how about I have some of this?" And then it usually wound up Mike and I being like, "Dude, just have one of the beers." And the guy's like, "Fine." I'm like, "Mike, I'm not sharing anything."
He was trying to bond with you guys. You
Yeah,
want to
just
sit
trying-
down and party
He
with
could
him.
have been
Making
part
friends
of
is
Rabbit
hard
Troop
enough.
Sucks.
Yeah.
He could have been like, "Oh man, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch."
Let me
Dope.
ask you this: did you ask for any information from that homeless person about the richest man in town?
I was like, "Here's a beer, but if you could tell me about Conal Cochran." He's like, "Conal Cochran, that dirty son of a bitch is ruining this town, and I'm warning you, he's watching you." And that is the warning he gives him. He's like, I was like, "Wow, that was super helpful." Like, thanks,
Did he say it
NPC
was
villager.
the last Halloween for that factory or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get a carton full of Molotovs.
He went pretty hard in the paint on it. Yeah.
He did. He went deep.
He had very specific death threats that he needed to make.
Let this be a lesson to befriend your local hobo for information.
He also befriended someone else during the day, Buddy and his family. They were checking in the hotel. Like
Yeah.
that was very quick, but I'll get back to them. But yeah, now he's back in the hotel. Sexy times ensues.
Yeah.
Ella made friends with that other lady.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
this other lady that
Marge.
rolls up who's like talking about there's factory problems and blah blah blah, and she's picking up an order of masks. So there's like other people staying at this hotel, and now we get back to her in the hotel, and she's reading a book.
Yeah.
But she has one of the microchips that
Yeah,
fell
she
off
sees a
mask.
microchip. Yeah.
And
Like
like
it
you
always comes
do,
back to microchip.
It is
got
all
a
about microchip.
scratch that microchip.
Yeah, she fucking pokes it with a needle or something like one does with a microchip.
Like a little hairpin or
Yeah.
something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And she gets a real bad case of face melt.
She gets lasered right in the face.
Broke out in face melt immediately.
One of the most vicious laser rings I've ever seen in a
Yeah.
movie.
I know.
Right
I
to the
said
face.
these
Wow.
things are like
That
it's like God, just kill me. Like, why do you have to kill me like this?
that single-handedly is probably the R rating right there. And the bug
Yeah.
crawling
Well,
out.
then like a
you called
bee
it.
crawls out of
Yeah,
her.
some
Yeah,
kind of
something
bug.
does.
Little bee.
So this
crawls into her wig.
This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie because Dan in the other room is doing some fucking as he always is. Like as this woman's face is melting off, it pans over to Dr.
Yes.
Dan's hotel room.
Just
He like
sipping that
he,
Carvassier.
he looks up because he hears a noise, kind of shakes his head, buries his face right back in them titties, and then it cuts right back over to the lady being dead again.
Ella even stopped.
Oh
She's
my
like,
God.
"What was that?"
Like, what was
and
that?
he's
I was
like,
like, I don't know. I didn't hear anything. Yeah. It's fine.
Guys, this is very representative of the yin and yang of life.
Yeah.
That while one feels ecstasy, your neighbor is going through face melt.
Sure.
This is what's happening in the next room.
Yeah.
Ah, dude.
It's a very balanced society.
And your face is spawning like spider.
Well, after sexy time, they peek out the window because there's some new guests at the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of lab
I
goons.
found it incredibly off-putting, like the scene of his ass.
Yeah,
And
he
he
gets up, we get
just-
to see that ass.
Yeah.
Going
yeah.
commando. He just puts them pants on and is.
Just raw dogging in there some jeans, like you're gonna chafe. That's not good.
But Lab Coat Mafia rolls up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have no questions. And Dr. Dan, like, legitimately goes out. So actually, for a second, I was like, dude, you're not even a reporter. You're not anything. But he does come out and he's like,
I'm a doctor.
and I was
Can
like,
I
oh,
help?
Yeah,
I
that
was
actually
like-
made sense.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, good call. He is a doctor. Like, they're like, no, we're taking her to the factory. That we have the best
Yeah.
facility.
Right.
That's
Like in your
what?
novelty factory, you have the best facility.
Yeah,
They
like,
ask no other questions after
totally
that. So
normal
they're like,
stuff.
all right, that sounds
Yeah,
legit.
no,
and you
he makes a
guys
good
have
point.
day.
They got
I
the-
mean, I wouldn't ask any questions either. I mean, they do talk about, as soon as they get back in the hotel, they're like, should we get the hell out of here? And I was like, yep, yeah, we should. She's like, I do want to
Well, they meet, what's his name? Colonel Cochran.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
right here, too.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's super weird.
yeah. So Colonel Cracker comes out and he's like, hello. I am the most pale white man you have ever seen, and I talk to you like this. And do not suspect I am evil in any way, because I own a factory that has all the necessary things. Goodbye. And what was your name? Mr. Smith? Yes, of course. Oh my God. I'm like, this guy's a ghoul. So yeah, and so Ellie's like, yep, giddy up. Let's get the hell out of here. But they're like, we should go check on my dad's order tomorrow and then get the hell out of here. And they do.
Cochran,
Yeah.
when he's talking
Let's
to
check on our dad's order.
when Cochran's talking to his goons, after he schmoozes them just that like 30 seconds, he turns around, walks like 1 foot away,
foot.
and he's like, it was a misfire, my evil.
Open loudly.
like,
To be fair, Cochran rolls up on him and he does a whole PR spiel that is kind of more passable. He's like, relax, we got her. Everything's going to be fine. She's fine. She got lasered in the face,
As
but
a
she's going to be fine in our
As
factory.
a toy maker, I'm toy maker MD.
they could have just like walked around the van and talked, but no, it's like, let me turn my back to you.
The goons around him do look suspicious, leaning into his orders. I will admit that that whole scene just was kind of off-putting, and it made Cochran look a little more evil.
But Dr. Bangs, he's well cast. Like, he looks like, I would have to guess, that he's probably 6'4", and he's like a broad-shouldered dude.
He's a big dude, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I honestly think he could take out a couple of these lab coat goons, like, boom, boom, boom. But I think he's playing it kind of cool. Like, all right, I probably can't take down all of these people, and I don't fully know what's going on. But, yeah, like, I don't know, like, his physique, like, it makes sense. Like, when he's fighting people later, or, like, getting away from people, it just makes sense.
yeah, he's a brawler for sure.
Yeah.
Anyone who drinks that much High Life is bound to know how to handle themselves.
He's made of high life.
He is.
He's the champagne of doctors.
He is.
Someone who day drinks that much High Life is going to be that bad.
Oh,
He does
yeah.
do a lot of day and night drinking.
Yeah. That's the best time.
A
of day to do
doctor
it.
that day drinks really understands your problem.
Well said. Well said.
Well, considering that all my physical problems are caused by day drinking, it's nice to have, some familiarity.
Well, you should just make friends with the doctor. He could be there with you.
Yeah.
Be like, I could introduce you to friends that I see.
Well, that's why I said I wanted to go to that bar, because, he's already there. It would be very helpful.
That bar was so awful. That bar was not for us.
I don't know. Something depressingly cozy about that.
No.
The best bars are the bars that no one goes to.
I really feel as the Woody Woodpecker that was being shown on the TV. That was a one step too far for me. I was like,
This is the darkness in the wood.
That was in the
paneling.
plus column. for me.
Mike, you and I went to Lost Lake in its first iteration, and it was like Lost Lake was like
God.
half the size, not
yeah.
renovated.
When they were playing like horror movies on that 12.
We were watching.
Yeah.
We were watching the original Piranhas.
Yeah.
and we were watching Piranhas on that like 13-inch TV.
You're watching Piranhas at Lost Lake.
and that's fine, and that was great. And we were drinking like well shots and cheap beer, and it was fine. But if they put on Woody Woodpecker and
You
that was
would've-
3 p.m, then I would have
too
had.
far for you.
I would have needed help.
Okay.
I didn't know you were so picky with your ambiance.
Yeah,
Paul.
really.
Yeah.
Piranha's good. Woody
Yeah.
Woodpecker.
Especially for
that's,
day drinking.
Yeah.
that tilts.
I don't
it.
like the
Okay.
day drinking to begin with. I don't like
Oh,
that's.
yeah, it's my favorite.
I love day drinking, but I can't do it anymore.
Why not?
You said that
Well, I
last
can
time
do
you
it.
bought a jug of
I
like
just-
mom.
I'm very tired by like 10
He's a
o'clock.
vampire.
That's the downside.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this age, you got to pick one. If you day drink, your
Yeah.
your night's going to be ending pretty quickly. But, you know, comes with the territory.
Here we go. Paul's night drinking.
Yeah. He's working on his night moves.
Gatorade, Cool Blue.
Cool blue. Shit.
You know what I love
Yeah,
about
that's
Gatorade?
full
Down,
alcohol.
Rod.
They know the people just want blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do know that.
What flavor is it? I don't know.
It's blue.
It's blue.
It's one of the blues.
What kind of blue? Icy blue?
I am willing to drink this or the light blue. You are correct.
Yeah.
How many blues do they have?
There's more than
one
two.
of
There's more than two.
It's at
Probably
least
more than
3.
5. I've seen so many blues. Oh my goodness.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, they go check out the factory.
They go check out the factory. You know, they're in there fucking that doofus guy.
Well, no. At first, like,
How did they get to the
No,
factory?
no. They just drove up, and like they get there, and they're talking to the like a woman in charge of like sales, and
Yeah.
like
yeah, do you remember this guy?
she's actually
Yeah,
like quite
like
helpful.
Martha.
yeah.
Yeah, she's like
I don't, but like
Second
old Red does. or
Irish
whatever.
person.
yeah, she's super helpful.
Name one fucking delivery driver that's like, oh yeah,
I remember
that.
exactly that.
Specifically that.
Unless he makes like one delivery a day.
Right.
Right. Well, yeah. So this woman's really helpful. She's like, well, I know a guy who would know, and we could just check the records. And she's like, in the records, like, yeah, he like picked this up, but like maybe I could go talk to someone. You know, me, Rami, and Lamar all worked in a similar place, old school Wild Oats. I got to know some of the delivery drivers, so they would probably know things about me and them and like times. Like we were always on a loop. So that guy comes out, he's like, yeah, I remember. Like he drove this. It was like last Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
I
I mean, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
I worked
okay.
as a delivery driver for all of the way through undergrad. And I had a small enough route that I'd probably be able to answer that question. Like, hey, did you see this guy who took this order? Yeah, I saw it.
There, okay, yeah.
Like a couple days later? Yeah, probably. Like a week later? No.
So there's a delivery guy who delivers small packages to familiar faces, and you're not like a UPS guy, thousands of faces every day.
It's funny you say that. I was going to say,
Well-
shout out to the UPS. I have no stake in the game. The UPS drivers, I got to know the best. And I always thought they were like the nicest dudes I've ever met.
Yeah.
They are pretty
Like
cool.
they totally got to know me.
Yeah. I've worked with some.
That's
and
because
pretty
they're
cool.
delivering small packages to familiar faces.
You better
Oh,
fucking
that's
believe it.
the undertones there are.
You buttered my biscuit
Wow.
Yeah.
in the
All
factory.
right.
Okay.
So,
Well, then, Buddy and his family are like, hey, Buddy's the top salesman of Silver Shamrock. I think it's like 2 years running. This guy is unstoppable. The rhyme animal. He's uncannibal.
Nice, Paul. Very nice. I like that.
Public
enemy number one.
There you go.
God damn. That's
There
awesome.
you go. You didn't think I had it in me.
I knew you had it in you, kid.
so I had to rewatch part of this movie.
I'm glad you did.
And
because
I
it's
gotta
lost.
say, I still don't quite exactly understand why Buddy's there to tour the factory. Like,
He's the number one salesman.
yeah, but like, was
Sold the most masks.
was Cochran's plan to do what he did?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
He's
Which
like,
is
I
really
need to
stupid if you
sacrifice
think about
this
all the
guy's
masks.
kid.
Yeah.
He's distributed
No,
what
no,
he's supposed
no,
to do, so now he's bringing in this family so
yeah.
that he can test the wild
Yeah,
so messed up.
Yeah, I agree with
So
Rami.
messed
There's
up.
like so many layers to this that are unnecessary. Because later in the movie, Buddy's like, you know what's weird? I tried to put in a pre-order for next year, and they're not taking orders. And they start talking about this
last year.
I know. I'm like, But why didn't they just damn pretend
just
to
be like,
take
oh, yeah,
yours?
yeah, we got
Yeah,
this.
like why not just do it like you did every year?
I told them, I was like, this would have been the easiest job in the world. Like, yeah, I need like 50 minutes.
Okay.
Are you taking this down? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, sure am. Cool. Yeah. Like, just go with it. Like, don't raise suspicion with anyone. Damn it. Are you Cobra? Like, come on.
Yeah, but see,
He might be a little
kids,
Cobra.
the kids are the only ones that are gonna die. Well, that's a spoiler. Sorry.
No, I
but
think
I mean, like government officials, they're still gonna audit this company, you know. So they don't want to.
Yeah, when
you know,
everyone who is wearing your product dies all at once. I think someone's going to
We're
ask
getting
questions.
deep into that.
Well, actually, Jeremy, let me ask you another question. So I could ask all of you this, and it's gonna, like give some spoilers in the film, but whatever. What is the end goal of Silver Shamrock? Can anyone tell me that?
No.
Okay.
They never
witchcraft.
Ooh, yeah.
It's witchcraft.
Because I'm going to say this.
Season of the Witch.
I think Cochran gets what he
Maybe
wants.
they're bringing back magic into the world.
Well, Jeremy, I think Cochran gets what he wants at the end.
Just random
Maybe he does.
destruction of everything.
There's a lot of unanswered questions.
was
that
I
we get to at the end
just
of
want
this
to. I just
film.
want to kill random kids.
It was
I don't
essentially,
know.
he wanted to bring back the spirit of real Halloween.
There is actually a. Didn't he have a monologue?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
I was not paying attention.
That's why I had to go back and watch it again.
Thank you.
It's time again.
was time again.
Well,
I had
was
to look
again.
deeper into that monologue. Like, yeah, it's time again for what?
yeah, well, let's bring it in a little bit. So,
Okay.
Dr. Bangs and Ellie are about to leave. And Buddy's like, oh, come on, these are my pals. Like, maybe they could come on the tour too. And Mr. Cochran begrudgingly is like, yes, I too was going to ask them to come. Would you like to come on our
You
tour?
can really feel it too.
And they're like, we would love to.
Dr.
He's
Bangs
like,
I've been coming on this whole tour, man.
yes, fantastic. Join us on our tour. Room for more. And they go on the tour and they find out where the masks are made. You see them.
It's
And then
kinda
they're,
cool.
can we go in this other room that's like top secret? He's like, good God, no.
That's
You
where the
cannot even look
final
at that room.
process.
Yeah, final
takes
process.
place.
Yeah.
What's the
The
final
final process.
They don't want to talk about the final process.
The combustible chemicals.
Those are where the secret herbs
unstable.
and
Very
spices are
dangerous.
kept.
Much like my marriage, unstable. I mean, I love Martha. She's beautiful. I'm in league with the devil, and it's complicated.
But they gift the Buddy's kid a mask, a pumpkin mask
Ah, yeah.
that has
Finished one.
a finished one. The final process has been completed for this one.
Secret herbs and
The
spices.
plastic. That's the final process, putting it in that plastic bag, man.
Yeah.
Nobody can figure out how they do that.
Well, plastic bags are dangerous, especially for stupid kids.
I know that Buddy's wife is just eating Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
Just one after the, like every time I saw her, it seemed like she was eating
She's gonna
peanut
have fucking. She better fucking moisturize that night, man. She's gonna have zits.
Well, one, it made me want
Okay.
a peanut butter cup.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel that because when Halloween comes around, who eats all of your peanut butter cups? It's me.
Yeah, it's Mike.
Yeah.
So you're the one who
Yeah,
gets
that's
them
fine.
before me
Yes, correct.
because I want those.
Yeah, 'cause peanut butter cups are my
Also,
favorite.
I'm just like, man, who's was like, well, like it's just. I was thinking like, when's the last time I took a tour of something? And it's been a while, but I'm like, I've never like on a tour just been like, I'm gonna take out some peanut butter cups and start eating them.
Yeah, man. Get
I've
hungry.
never brought
So
snacks.
first, you got to have them on you.
Yeah.
You got to walk into that situation with them on you.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Well,
have like a
fair.
big candy bowl at the entrance to the fucking
Ah,
factory.
that
It's
would-
Halloween.
So
that
you
would
know?
make sense.
This was
No.
just a Willy Wonka tour, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except
This does
Less
remind.
singing.
Shamrock.
This reminds me of the stuff. Of
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like we're
definitely.
gonna fucking tour this factory,
Yeah.
which we'll infiltrate later. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. Well, when the tour concludes, they're outside, and Dr. Bangs starts noticing a lot of dudes walking around who look suspiciously like the dude that ripped that guy's face off earlier.
Dude face.
Dude face.
They do.
Hashtag. Don't actually. I take it back.
Hashtag dude.
Let's not do that one.
Yeah.
And then like I don't know, like under some fucking tarp, they see her dad's car, and like, is that your dad's car?
Yeah.
She's like, fuck, it is. Why do they have that?
If you
and here's the thing, like if you saw the thing that proved your dad was like murdered by these people, would you be like, hey, there's the evidence of the fucking murder of there, and then
hey, did you guys kill my dad?
Let me run immediately over to it and make a scene.
also, if you guys, listeners, if you ever want to write us and write what your interpretation of Dude Face is to Mike, I will forward those emails directly to his private account.
That'd be great.
So
I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking.
I think that
that's something he would
if
like
listeners wrote in and said, hey, could we have Paladin Mike singing happy Halloween, and in sexy poses, would that be possible?
Oh shit!
I encourage people to write me that.
Yeah.
As I said, I will forward that to Mike's direct email account.
Yeah. Jeremy, I can do that for money.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's got to be attached to that.
Let's talk about dollars.
What is the name?
It would fill my heart with holiday glee to get that email and to forward it over. So
I'll tell you what,
a
case of peanut butter cups show up at my house.
There we go.
We can talk about
you're
those.
working cheap.
Yeah.
I love those
we
peanut
went
butter
from
cups.
money
We're
to
sponsored by
peanut butter
Reese's now.
cups.
If we get a Reese's sponsorship, oh boy.
Oh, the sponsorship, that would pay off.
Yeah.
It's Halloween's loop.
Many sexy poses.
You can't even count them. How did her father get home without his car?
He
didn't.
He just the
He
whole
was running,
fucking way?
Like, yeah.
Ran.
No.
How
Yeah,
far
he
is this?
saw him.
place?
He
He
ran
ran,
far
he ran to that
beginning.
tow truck guy.
Mike, he ran. He ran
Ran
so
so
far
far
away.
away? Okay.
He had to get away.
So
He ran to that tow truck driver
Blah, blah, blah.
gas station.
how far away is where they started from this town?
Oh,
Maybe
he
that's
ran
why he
forever.
died.
Okay.
That's why he was
Yeah.
dehydrated.
He's like Forrest Gump. He started.
Yeah,
Running
he
from a
was
tremor.
dehydrated.
No,
Okay.
the tow truck driver's gas station is closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
They drove him in.
You call him gassy.
Across the country to wherever the fuck they started from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm a little hazy
Mike,
on that.
Mike.
Yeah, okay.
I have notes about that, questions about how far this man ran in the beginning, because these people are driving very far to get to this factory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and we're assuming he's running from the factory because he saw something or whatnot.
Right.
At the very beginning. And so, yeah, these people drove they're like, oh, we're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, yeah, how far did this man run?
Also, why did they keep his car?
That is a good question.
Wouldn't you keep his car?
No.
What made me not as suspicious about that as being like a plot hole is that Dr. Bangs ends up at that same tow truck driver gas station at the end. That's where he's making those phone calls. So
That's
it's
true.
The only place to
clearly
go.
runnable distance.
Yeah,
when you're
runnable distance.
when you've learned that evil plans are ensuing, that's like it's like the big bug light in the sky or whatever that all of these guys run to.
Just seems like, hey, like this guy saw some shit and ran away. He left his car. What should we do with it? The answers could have been nothing, or like roll it down a hill. Like just put it in the garage. Put a tarp over it. That's probably enough.
Tarp over half.
A tarp. Yeah.
Well, they might need.
We only have
it
this
some
small tarp. Like, well, make do. It's fine. We can't. No one. We don't have a bigger tarp in this town. Covered with Halloween masks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're making masks, not tarps.
So I can't read all of my notes right here. It's a little sloppy, but they run off essentially. But this is where my confusion is. Dan gets back to the hotel. Did they get split up somehow?
So
here's what happens. I get this. I understand this. So they're in this tour, and they're like, all right, me and you, we're done with this tour, so we're just gonna walk off.
Yeah, they leave.
And they do.
Okay.
They get back to the hotel.
They fucking.
And he's like, I'm going to go call.
That's right.
This hot investigator that I've been banging.
Corner. He calls the corner.
She's got
Oh,
yeah. She's the corner. Okay. I'm gonna call her and see where she's at in her little side investigation, because I'm slipping her the dick. She can do things outside of the bounds of like normal reporting.
Because of the dick.
Yeah. So he calls her, and while he calls her, he has left the one girl alone in the hotel room with the door unlocked. And then when he gets back, she's gone, and that's where we're at now.
He also,
There
to
you
his
go.
credit, he also tried to call the police. Well, he
Yeah.
Well,
But
and later,
that's
too.
where Jamie Lee Curtis came in. She's like, we
Yeah,
can't
she's
do
the
this
phone
for you.
operator. Like,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, that's
money,
her
yeah.
cameo. Okay.
Yeah, so he gets back to the hotel and Ellie's gone, and he's like, "Oh my god!" and he freaks out. And then he walks outside, and a bunch of lab coat goons detain him real quick.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, he ran.
He did run.
Yeah,
He
road-
runs
all
back
the way.
inside, and he jumps
They
out
kick
that
open
window.
the door. He
Yeah.
sneaks out the shitter window. He goes running along the back of the hotel. He's running throughout the town.
He ends up-
and eventually he gets to the factory. He sneaks
Sneaks
in the
in.
unlocked
Yeah.
window. Now he's in.
Oh yeah.
That's when he runs into that creepy knitting old lady robot.
And he
Yes.
tools her ass up.
Pilgrim
real good.
robot.
I was very clear about this, that I would have burned that room down. So he opens this room, and this woman who's dressed like a pilgrim is just knitting, and she looks weird and deranged. And then he gets up to her, and her head falls off, and she's a robot. But the way this thing looks is so awful.
crazy. Yeah.
That's where nightmares come from. Whoever designed that, you're a real son of a bitch.
I mean, good work.
job.
I guess.
Good
Yeah, it was good. That was nightmare fuel.
Yeah, as an adult, thanks.
Thank you.
And then he gets got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got he gets got immediately. He does that.
That's right. I skipped to it, and I was just like, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, because when they get him like there's a whole football team.
He puts up a little bit of a fight and gets
a
some
brawler.
goo out
Yeah.
of that guy.
Well, this
Big
is where we
fight.
find out that these
Yeah.
suited dudes are robots.
They're
That's where he
robots made
gets
of goo.
He gets the goo.
He punches a hole right
Yeah.
through one of them.
This is where the stuff comes in.
Cracks into the goo.
These robots are very strong in the face, but very weak in the abdomen.
Yeah.
That's true.
We also see Buddy and his lame family are still. They like locked him in a room or something.
I ain't getting on the floor. So
And they're talking about how no one will take their fucking order.
The room looks like they're in a nuclear test site.
Yeah, they're in like a room where they study human behavior or something. But it's short lived. The whatever the fucking kid's name, he puts on his pumpkin mask. They play the commercial, and
Face melt.
man, his face
face
fucking.
Oh,
Mom
hard.
faints. Dad freaks out.
Yeah, everyone's freaking out.
That was actually one of the worst face melts. Like
Yeah.
bugs
Yeah,
and
you
snakes.
can't have
Yeah.
witchcraft.
I think there's
without
like a-
face melting.
Yeah, but I mean,
rattlesnake in
it's
there?
all in the mask, so you don't see a lot of it,
Yeah.
which is nice.
It is all
I'm not
in
sure
the
what
mask.
killed the mom.
The mom just fainted.
Yeah.
Like we don't really. Well, I mean, I could tell you what eventually kills mom. So
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
kid's face melts, and as you guys said, like all these bugs and weird things. Then a bunch
Yeah,
of snakes come out.
Yeah.
Snakes are
rattlesnake.
snakes are biting dad. Dad goes down.
Rattlesnake got his-
The last scene is like mom's covered with snakes. Like I'm sure like that was just the
Yeah, they're
implication she's
envenomated.
dead.
That's fine. No one liked those guys anyway.
I mean, that was
Yeah,
just
they
like
were
the
kinda-
kid didn't deserve to die like that.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
good-
he was
Wow.
okay.
that was,
He was kind
one
of
of
a
the more
dick.
horrific
He flicked his
scenes.
mom off. Like he's like,
Yeah, that was-
shit. His mom was like, "Hey, don't ride
Don't
your
ride
bike
in the
street."
road.
He's like, "Fuck you,
mom.
bitch."
I do what I
think
want.
that,
Yeah,
I don't
fuck
think that
that
warrants
kid.
face melt.
No, it doesn't. It's pretty graphic too. How they just burst out of the head. and
Cochran's a
face.
stickler for the rules. Don't
Yeah,
disobey
it's
him.
And this whole scene was shown to Dr. Bangs by Cochran as part of
Yeah.
him not explaining his plan.
Yeah, so
That's true.
so
Fucking Cochran.
Cochran is leading Dr. Bangs all throughout the factory. And he's explaining like, this is what I'm doing, blah blah blah. And Dr. Dan has like some follow-up questions, and Cochran's like, no, a magician never reveals all of his tricks. But then, as Rami's noting, he proceeds to literally say everything. This is what I mean. It's like, I have parts of Stonehenge. This is a bitch to
Yeah.
get in here. That's another
The
story on its own.
motherfucker stole Stonehenge.
Right, like
dude.
that's another
I feel
story
like
on
that's
its own.
very difficult.
These guys that you're fighting are robots. I'm in league with like the devil. People are made of goo, but I can't tell you anything else. Like,
Like, what else was
like
there?
all right, like
Sure.
That's
okay.
it. That's all I'm giving
That's
you.
all I got.
So-
And here's where the chick is in this room.
yeah, the Ellie who you're looking for is tied up in this room, but we're gonna put you in this other room, and we're gonna put a mask
Yeah.
on you, and you're gonna be forced to watch the commercial
Yeah.
because on Halloween it's gonna melt your face. But we're gonna do
This
some
is where the
testing.
monologue comes in.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Where he explained they're like pagans, I guess.
Yeah.
He's a pagan.
Yeah, he's a,
Kind of weird
Like
sacrifice.
the Celtics, but way back in the day, I guess 3,000 years ago,
Like
they fucking killed a bunch of kids. They made like magic powerful, and he wants to do that again. The planets are in alignment.
Same,
blah blah
same
blah.
old story.
Yeah.
So for anyone's looking for
Same
that,
bullshit, different
who,
day.
What, where, when, and why, this was the monologue to listen to and not fade in and out of.
Yeah. It
explains everything.
Yeah,
I-
poorly and very briefly.
I
There you
100% faded in and out the first time I watched this. It's like, I don't think I did
That's
it.
why I said good for the rewatch.
Yeah. Well, he is. I don't remember how he gets the mask off, but he throws the mask
Well,
over
his
security.
chair is not
craziest
attached.
Yeah.
to anything.
Okay, there you
So
go.
he could
just
like
like a-
just hop the chair over. He kicks
I
in
think
the
it's a
TV.
rolling chair.
Yeah, it was like an office chair.
Yeah, he kicks through the TV, breaks through the binding of the chair, and then is like able to take off the mask and then free
Yeah.
his arms.
Okay.
And then basically go out through the air
Yeah,
ducts.
this is solid snake.
He's
stuff.
Yeah,
rolling
that-
20s left and right.
That's when I said, I was joking about Metal Gear comparisons, but I was like, oh my god, this guy's going through air ducts and very
Yeah, he's evading like fucking cameras and shit.
right. And he's smoking, and then he gets some boxes. I was like, oh my god.
You called it out when he got the box.
Oh, when he got the box, I was like, his inventory
this is
is
the
now.
one.
He's got a watch, a pack of cigarettes, and a box. I was like,
re-
this is Solid Snake.
I rewatched
I also
this.
feel like this company overestimated its inventory because there's a lot of fucking boxes and it's fucking Halloween. All right,
They did.
I mean,
Got a lot of extra
out in time.
I watched this again, and I still am a little bit unclear on how him and the chick like reunite there. It
doesn't matter.
Like,
No. Like how what? Like, okay, I know
because
what
she's
he's-
there.
Yeah, so
He walks into her room. He's just fine. He's
He
like,
just
hey,
walks
here
in
she
and
is. He walks
Yes.
in,
It's just that
takes her
easy.
mask off, unstraps her, and she follows him. But make note, she says like
nothing.
I don't think anything
Yeah.
about the rest of the movie
So-
except
Very
for
true.
So yeah, Jeremy's totally right. He just totally walks into the room and like
Just blase.
frees her.
Like,
So-
we're doing this.
Let me ask you this, especially those of you who saw this twice. Between my notes, escape in the vents, and right before rescues girl, my note is, shut up, bitch, I'm not drunk.
Oh, he calls his ex-wife and he's telling
Oh,
her
yeah.
to get
Phone
those
in the
kids.
office. He does
Yeah, he,
Throw
he
away
makes like a
those
fucking
masks.
collect
gonna
call.
be there.
He's trying to save his kids, and she's like, "You're drunk."
Yeah,
Why
he's
are
like,
you-
do not let him wear these masks. These masks are bad. Like,
Okay.
From
like-
what I know about Dr. Banks,
Yeah,
she
good-
was right.
Yeah.
well, good call, Mike, because like this
Oh
is
my
like
God.
a heartbreaking scene because he's like this company's evil. Do not wear the mask. And she's like, and these guys are right. Like, you're drunk. Like, you're calling me drunk again. He's like, I am not drunk. Like, I found this thing out. Like, can you imagine being this helpless and being like, this
Yeah.
is the one request. Like, you've got
I'd be like, my wife is actually intelligent because I've been a fucking prick for like the past 10 years. The one time I'm not being, she's like, doesn't believe me.
I know.
Yeah, I can understand
Yeah, I was
that.
drunk those last 10 times, but this time is about the Halloween masks. They're going to melt our kids' faces off. And all these guys are robots.
Yeah.
So yeah, that doesn't go well. But yeah, then he frees Ellie, and they just kind of he gets her out. But as he's doing this, he picks up a box of all those microchip buttons, and he climbs up to the scaffolding. And as I said, he's a wizard with computers because he hits like 3 knobs and 5 keys, and somehow that realigns everything. There are like no shit like 700 keys and 400 switches at this panel, and this guy only knows he's like beep, boop, boop,
He knows
like,
exactly
just types
because he
it
was
in.
paying attention when they ran the test
Yeah.
thing.
He's a fucking
for the
doctor,
family.
okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a doctor of love.
Doctor Strange. So yeah, he programs this, sets the commercial, and it starts playing. And he throws all these the microchip buttons down, and it just laser blasts the shit out of everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah, right in their faces.
My note is, I don't think most of the lab techs are robots. I think those are real humans, and I think all the dudes in suits are there because they're like a lot of the lab techs look really put off by stuff. Like, I don't want to do this, but like, oh crap, this guy's crazy.
And they could also talk.
Yeah, they're like, I've got this, and the guy's like, God damn it, I was on the phone. He's like, well, that prisoner escaped. He's like, son of a bitch.
Why didn't you interrupt my call?
You know, I was talking to nobody on that phone. I was just practicing for the Nobel.
man.
the
How
Nobel
much
Evil
money do you
Prize.
think? So you guys think these are real lab techs? Like these lab techs are real?
I do not think they're making money.
How much? I mean, what is the buy-in for these guys? Like, hey, here's my plan. Like, we're gonna steal Stonehenge, right?
You had me at Stonehenge.
And then we're gonna take it back here. We're gonna break off little pieces of it. We're gonna put it in Halloween masks. Like, at what point are these guys like, you got me?
Yeah.
You know, you can promise them a lot, but if you know the end outcome, that you're just they're disposable.
I think the question's asked you with 15 thugged dudes in suits right in front of you.
There
You're
you
like, that seems like a great plan.
Either that, or you can promise them stuff.
I'd be
and
like,
just
let's
kill
make
them
these
later.
robots and fucking be billionaires.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, this Stonehenge thing seems wild. Like, I think we should make these
Working
robots.
with the devil or just cold hard cash? I'm gonna go cold hard cash. That seems more lucrative. Could maybe help people. Help people, yes. Help people die.
Halloween 4.
Oh yes.
So he drops all of those lasers, chips down. Lasers shoot out of him.
Face melt.
And then, son of a bitch, if Cochran doesn't give him like the slow clap.
Yeah. Cochran's like,
Yeah,
you
he
got
does.
me.
It's a golf clap.
It was a golf clap.
Yeah.
He was
And then
so
he gets
proud of it.
lasered into a blue angel or something.
Yeah, well, Stonehenge starts freaking out.
I still don't understand this part.
No one does.
What?
Yeah, and then
Wakes
Cochran
up,
like
it's like, shit, dude.
disappears.
Yeah, he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, he went somewhere else.
He
He's
turned
fine.
into Stonehenge.
Yeah, we're all Stonehenge. now.
Teleportation.
Yeah.
Well, so that's my question. Like, he at the end is smiling.
Yeah.
And he looks like he is transported to another place. And my thought is, did he just get exactly what he wanted? My guess is yes.
My guess is
Yeah.
yes as well, based
freaking
off
clue.
how the movie ended, which comes up a little later.
Well,
Maybe he really just misunderstood the instructions and he didn't.
I
the
think
whole
that guy
kid murder
was like
thing was unnecessary.
teleported to like some kind of plane of existence, and that's what he wanted. And I think
Yeah,
'cause
like,
he's like
actually, you just had to kill a bunch of robots
Right.
to get
Right,
this
like,
magic.
just
kill-
Like, he's like, oh,
Kill
fuck
one
yeah,
or two
dude.
guys.
yeah.
Yeah,
He turned
Hell
into
yeah.
One or
the
two.
magic
That's all.
snowman in an old Disney movie.
Well,
Even creepier.
Ellie and Dr. Bangs get the holy hell out of there. They're like,
Yeah.
screw this. Factory is done. Things are getting weird.
It's exploding. Yeah,
Yeah.
the factory is actively exploding.
Kaboom.
Yeah.
And
With terrible special effects, by the way.
Yeah.
Ellie goes a little cuckoo and goes right for the dock. And
Not like when she did earlier.
Yeah.
yeah,
Not in a good way.
Yeah.
In a bad
Not
way.
like BDSM,
Yeah.
like going after him,
No.
but yeah,
No.
okay.
No.
she's
She
old enough.
chokes his ass good.
Yeah, she starts choking him,
Yeah,
but not
so-
in the sex.
So he
scene.
drives off and like hits a tree and then gets out and still battling her. She gets dismantled a bit, still battling her. That was a little trick. She's still there, and then he battles her some more, and
3 battles, I believe,
Yeah.
took
Yeah.
place
A number
of the
of
same
battles.
person.
yeah. And then he eventually drives off, gets back to that gas station where the movie all begins with,
I don't
and
think he drove, but
he ran.
I think he ran.
He ran. You're
He
right.
wrecked the shit out of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He ran.
I love 80s automobile crashes because there's no airbags, there's no
Yeah.
seat belts.
And as you guys said
he just
before,
bounces out. and he's
if your car,
thrown safely from the vehicle.
and if your car explodes, just let it, stay on fire for the next 9
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, if she was a robot, why did they put a mask on her and tie her to the chair?
I think it was a trick.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to freak him.
To do what?
I don't know.
to get him to.
Because he's a jokester.
They knew he was gonna
He's
escape.
He's playing tricks.
So she can
That's his thing,
tie him
tricks.
and help him and kill him later.
Yeah, but they didn't have to. They could have just put her in a
Dude,
room.
this guy's got so many weird plans.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
like they could just
Yeah.
kill people
Just
so
seems-
much easier.
Seems like too many extra
It
steps.
sounds like so
He's got a
terrible that I'm
file
saying,
cabinet
but
of
like
plans.
they're so vicious and complicated with their killings. I'm like, I don't know why they're doing any of this.
Maybe he wanted to see what happened when a robot wore them.
Right? Like, I just thought it was like maybe a backup plan, like worst case scenario. Like
Irish
she
Joker.
is like there, and I have no idea. But yeah, she's after 3 battles, she is dismantled. And he runs to the gas station and he gets on the phone with like these news networks and he's
Yeah.
like, "You're
He
playing
knows
these
all their phone
commercials.
numbers, too.
You're playing these commercials. You got to
Yeah,
turn them off
from
you gotta turn 'em
memory.
off." And they actually do. They start turning them off. But this kid walks in the gas station. These kids are trick or treating, and this kid is flipping the dial. And like, one by one, like you see, the news stations are like coming up, or the Silver Shamrock is playing, but they're like beep, like coming up, like a warning. But one channel doesn't have it. And I thought, this is kind of cool. If this movie did have a sequel, that some people watched basically the channel and some people didn't, and like how this would affect the actual world. Like not that should have been made into a movie, but like the potential of like a cool story that would have come out of that. I'm like, like that guy like
Which
literally
kid-
did save a bunch of people.
What kids are trick or treating at the gas station?
All of them.
It's a small.
It's
You know, like,
small
like,
town,
this
dude.
motherfucker doesn't give us any candy. We'll set these fucking pumps on fire, dude.
Oh, he gave him candy.
Yeah.
He knew better.
Oh yeah,
It's Andy Griffith,
I
buddy.
didn't want to eat that candy.
That's how big the town is. Everyone's got candy. And that's it. Boom. Season of the Witch. And before we get to our final reviews of Season of the Witch, Halloween 3, As always, feel free to reach out to us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. If there's a cool movie or some ideas, or you just want those isolated clips, or do you have those requests from Mike? I told you I'll forward them over. Like, whatever. Be shameless. Mike is a man who likes detailed verbiage and to be put in his place.
I like clear instructions.
Wow.
Step by step.
Yeah.
Or go to rabbittroopsucks.com, and we have links to things like merchandise or things we're doing in pictures and various events and various things. As always, we're on all sorts of platforms. So if you're listening to us on one thing, feel free to jump over to another. We're on YouTube. We're on, the podcast app on my iPhone. We're on Amazon, Spotify, and the list goes on. And we're on social media, Facebook and Instagram. So what did you all think about Halloween 3, 1982 Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 1982? Jeremy, what do you think?
Go to first? Me?
Go for
All
it.
right. Yeah. So I like this movie. There are certain I like talking about it with you. There are certain dumb things that happen in this movie, but overall, I do enjoy this movie quite a bit. I like the music that takes place, especially like the suspenseful way they build tension in the movie. It's similar to the music and like the way they build tension in the Michael Myers movies, but this has nothing to do with Michael Myers. So yeah, I do like this movie. It doesn't. I wish that they would have continued Halloween with like anthology, like just standalone stories like this one. Especially since this didn't really end in any type of like, did the good guy win or the bad guy win? We don't know. So yeah, overall, I like this movie. I like the evil guy, the old Irish guy.
Yes.
I like the girl. I like Dr. Bang. He's a fun character. Yeah, overall, I like this movie. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's from fucking the 80s, man. It's a good time.
Rami, what do you think about Halloween?
I liked it. I have seen this. I have no idea how many times. Like when you mentioned that we were going to watch this, I did not remember it. And it took me a little while of watching it to like pick on the fact that I had definitely seen it before. It just doesn't feel to me like a Halloween because it doesn't have Michael Myers
It's not.
in it.
Yeah, it's not.
It is a good movie.
This movie should have been called Dude, Where's My Mask?
I particularly enjoyed the casting. I felt like they did a great job of really the way that these people looked and the way that their characters acted was spot on. I had a fun time with the weird special effects. It's a little cheesy, but it was exactly like you said, it's the 80s. It's fun. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I liked it enough that I watched it, at least part of it again the next day.
Catch up on the little subtleties.
Nice.
Well, the ending is a little bit more complicated than what I was prepared for, as I was several beers deep into watching it with you guys last night. So
Yeah.
I had to at least come back around and figure out like what was going on. Overall,
in the beginning of this movie, when the old man stumbles into the gas station for the first time, the black gas station attendant, he's watching the TV and they're talking in a news story about the Stonehenge stone being stolen, and nobody can figure out how they did it. And then you don't find that out. That's not mentioned again until the very, very end when he goes into that big room.
they pulled it,
Yeah.
that whole thread back around again.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lamar?
Well, I made a comment earlier about how I'm not into the whole Michael Myers thing with Halloween. I'm not the biggest Halloween series movie fan. I love Halloween movies, just not the series. I think I want to say I've just seen all the Halloween movies just once. Like, I'm not deep into this series at all. I don't know much about Michael Myers, so I appreciate this one-off. And just looking at this movie as a one-off, it's actually really good for me. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but like I said, it's I said this earlier, it's a tolerable movie for just a one-off of just having fun with it. Just it you don't have to look beyond a series of what's this evil villain's plan throughout this 4-movie series. It's just a one-off. Dr. Cochran was his name. I think he's a serviceable villain. They do a good job of making him villainous. All the characters, they're kind of stereotypical. Mr. Marlboro Man, or Dr. Bang, as we call him. I call him Mr. Marlboro Man. At this first scene, he's wearing a big red shirt, smoking a cigarette, I think. He's the Marlboro Man to me. But I really like the characters. They're stereotypical, like Ellie. I think she's the stereotypical damsel in distress, kind of, except she's not as useless or helpless as you think she is. She serves a bigger purpose to this movie. It's a decent one-off. I like this movie because of Dr. Bang and this girl just going off on a quest on their own. I mentioned this before. They don't seek out any outer intervention to help them, like the police or anything like that. They just, let's go get them, and they do. And I like
They do. It is kind of like an outside, like, we're going on a quest.
It was
fucking
side
small
work,
village.
side quest.
Yeah,
was
a
very-
side quest for 90 minutes, or I didn't catch the length of this movie. It felt like 90 minutes.
It's
It's an hour and
Wasn't
93
too long.
minutes.
Yeah,
or
it
an
wasn't
hour
too
and
long at
33
all.
minutes.
It's pretty damn good.
It had Scooby-Doo feel. Like
Scooby-Doo,
there's
there you go.
There's a scene where they're in the factory and they're sneaking behind a rack of masks, like
Oh my
exactly
God,
Scooby-Doo.
yes.
Like they're
That is an
tiptoeing and like
amazing scene.
no
Yeah,
one
they
even
do.
notices them somehow.
So looking
They
at this
do.
movie as a part of the Halloween saga, whatever, but as its own, it stands out good on its own.
I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
I agree. I have a lot of fun with this. I like this as a standalone film. I feel if you like something like a franchise, and I overall like the first, like I agree with Lamar. I don't know many of the Halloween things or the lore, but I've seen all these movies at least
You don't
once.
need to.
Yeah, like I'm fine with it, but I like it enough that like I'm in. But if I like something by an artist, I always like their weird B-side material.
Yeah.
Why? Because I often feel that B-side material is people just kind of like letting loose, having fun. Like you see a little different perspective. I could think about that with a ton of bands where like things were on singles or like, you know, it wasn't on the album or it was like a different take. And I'm like, I definitely am digging this. And that's the vibe I'm getting here where I'm like, wow, this is like a B-side release. And I really like that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This movie for me straight up could be Tales from the Crypt presents. And it is Season of the Witch, and it is this movie, and I'd be fine with it. There's really no ties to the Halloween franchise. I'm totally fine with it. As you guys have noted, I do like the chemistry between Dr. Bangs and Ellie. Ellie's super cute. We all could agree with that. But she's also like smart and kind of sassy in ways that she needs to be. And it is like this fun side quest where they're like, hell, we're getting out of town. We're going to go figure some stuff out. And it's super bizarre. But would I keep watching this movie? Absolutely. This movie's a lot of fun. The Silver Shamrock song is part of my childhood. I will always remember that. And the scenes of the kids walking up, as you guys said, was in Arizona. I think this is a fun movie. It's super weird, but it's campy in the ways it needs to be. It's gory in the ways it needs to be. It's weird in the ways it needs to be. I'm in. I'm in for this film. This is a banger to start with. I'm totally glad we opened up October with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good October feel.
Yeah.
Good Halloween feel too. That creepy song you mentioned, it is iconic. If you go back and
Halloween.
only 3 days till Halloween. You
Silver
kind of creepy.
Shamrock.
I like how
And
it
the way the
counted
kids
down.
run up to the TV like 3 inches in front of it, wearing their mask.
80s
A little
style.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what though? Now that the more I think about this, like these are like the you know, the technology obsessed kids that are getting fucking snakes and bees crawling out of their face. You know, is that such a bad thing?
Yes. Mike.
Oh shit!
What did you think of this
Paul basically said verbatim what I was going to say, which is this: if they should have called this like Halloween Presents,
Oh shit! Yeah,
you know,
that's a
something
better
like
way to
that,
put it,
Ju-
yeah.
just like with Tales from the Crypt.
That would have made
Fucking HBO starts calling their lawyers.
Yeah, because I
Hey.
mean, it did feel like a Tales from the Crypt movie. It kind of felt like a slightly long, like Outer Limits episode or like Creep Show or something. I like this movie. As far as the big three like Halloween franchises, I think Halloween is the worst one. I think Friday the 13th and Elm Street are way, way better. I don't care about Mike Myers. I think those movies are pretty boring and they take themselves too seriously. This is easily my favorite Halloween movie. Like I mean, in the Halloween franchise,
agree with
not
you on
just in
that.
general. Like it's fun. Yeah, like I'm not going to repeat everything that everyone already said, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's silly. It's like a really well crafted bad movie.
Yeah, it's creative, dude. It's not
Yeah,
like a serial franchise. Like it's
Exactly.
a standalone movie.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see. I like standalone movies.
Totally. I don't care that they didn't explain the Stonehenge thing. It's like, yeah, it's Stonehenge. I got it. That's what we're doing. You don't need it. There's like a dude doing weird stuff. I'm here for it.
So there's no one here that really cares for the Mike Myers story plot line.
Admittedly,
I
like
think they're super boring.
well, like I'm okay with like their existence. I don't disagree with Mike. Like I've seen them.
Like,
I'm
he's dead. He's not dead. He's alive. Like, is he supernatural? Is he not? Like,
those
who fucking
like,
cares?
just like the first one, like the
Right.
idea of Mike Myers and like the first one, like I totally respect it. I think it's a good film. It's a slower, serious film. It's just not something I'd gravitate towards because like a lot of the Halloween films that we watch are more campy, a little
Right.
quirky. But like I totally respect the first Halloween one. But like then, yeah, as Mike noted, like we get into like part 8 and then like reboots and like extensions. I'm not like deep into it, but like I do totally respect John Carpenter and the creation of the origin of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, John Carpenter wanted to stop that shit
Right.
after the second one, which, like, yeah, you probably should have done that.
Hey, this is
Probably because he's
1982.
fucking a smart person.
Right, like, at least
not
with,
in it
like,
for the money.
With, like, Friday the 13th, like, Freddy's in space now. Like, they know this is stupid, and if they're going to keep going, it's got to be dumb. Like, that's fine.
Listen, Freddy needed to go to space.
Yeah.
okay?
You did.
He had to get that.
That's
fucking
where you got to go
leprechaun.
after Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's.
Yeah, leprechauns went to space.
Right.
I just want to note too, like at the end of this movie, when it's like dark and in the factory, it also like feels like fall Halloween weather. Like I don't know, this movie is
Yeah.
like really fall for me. So I'm like, I don't know.
If only you could see their breath or something.
Yeah.
Like, that would have added a little extra. All the little, just like, I don't know, little extra things they could have added for the fall atmosphere. This felt like a Halloween movie, but it didn't feel like.
It's California fall.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
all California. They had a little montage of Halloween throughout the country, and they showed like New York and Louisiana, and you can't really feel it. It's just it's all the trick or treating is done during the daytime,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and most of the horror. There's not a lot of night scenes in this movie, so you don't really get a lot of night horror in this movie.
No.
But you know what we got coming up next? We got listener request. Hey, Jenna, we are going to cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy.
Buffy from 1992. Jenna, thanks for the request. You gave us a ton of awesome requests. This is one of many that we'll be getting to. So, yeah, I look forward to going into this. That we've all seen this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, hell yeah. This movie's a lot of fun. This was clearly my introduction to the character Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and for a lot of people it's not. So definitely makes our radar, or is on our radar for those reasons. But yeah, we're gonna have fun. But any last thoughts about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 1982? Come to my factory. I don't want to tell you anything, but let me tell you everything. You've already known.
It's a horror Willy Wonka.
Right now, I'm printing out the plans, and I'm going to send it to you. Even though I don't want to reveal it, I want to tell you. Well, as always, Rabbit Troop sucks, and you are, listeners, the sweetest candy of them all.
Gross.
that is.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween.
Halloween, happy Halloween.
Shut up, Rich. I'm not drunk.